Hello friends, welcome back. So in this session we will learn Springdoc Open API and we will generate Spring REST API documentation with the help of Swagger. So what is Spring REST API documentation? What is Spring REST API documentation? So before to understand what is documentation, see, documentation in the sense, if you take the example of our Spring REST demo application, this directory contact controller, if you take the example of this one, then in this controller, how many URLs are there? How many URLs are there? You can count from here. This is a one URL, get contact by ID, get contacts to IDs with IDs 3, add contacts 4, update contact 6, delete contact by passing ID 7. So total 7 endpoints are there or 7 services are there. And what are the names of that services? Like delete directory contact, update directory contact, add directory contact, get directory contact. So these all are the name of the services or the name of the URI, and URI path are, these are the URI paths. What is the method type for that URI? Like for this one is get mapping. This is a get request mapping URI. This is also get request mapping URI. This is also get request mapping URI. This is post request mapping URI. So but okay, so these are the information about the, these all are the information about the endpoints or about the services. Along with this one, services also have so many other information, like what is the request body DTO, what is the values for DTO, what is DTO, inside this DTO how many parameters are there. So you can open this directory contact DTO and you can see, yeah, there here 4 parameters are there inside this one, 4 variables are there or 4 fields are there. What is the type of those fields? Long, string and long. So where is all these details? Suppose you created one service and that services you want to give to UI people, whoever is developing the UI, you want to give the give that services to a UI developer. So how will you give that UI developer these services? You will give, you have a one way that you can do, you can open your Excel file or Libra Excel sheet and you will add all the details, like you will add URL, yeah, this is URL, this is the name of service, this is the method type, like either get or post, update or delete, and this is the request payload, yani request payload in the sense the request body, what type of request body is accepting, what are the parameters of request body. So all those details you have to write in an Excel file or in a Word file or in a blank text also, in just notepad file you can write and you can give. This is the one approach that you can do, but this approach has a limitation in the sense, this is a very tedious task and time consuming task. It is taking a lot of time, or sometimes it will not take time, but that is not a standard way to maintain the services. There must be some other approach that will automatically generate the documentation for your service, that should generate the documentation should be generated automatically. So that approach is called Spring API documentation, Spring REST API documentation. So that documentation will be done with the help of Springdoc Open API. So Springdoc Open API is another library, or you can say that it's a module that will help you to generate the Spring documentation using Swagger. Swagger is nothing but it will just used to represent or used to generate the documentation. So to enable the Spring documentation, you have to make some configuration in your application.property. What are that configuration? First you have to tell Springdoc Swagger UI path. What is your Swagger UI path? That where you can access the documentation. So this one is your Swagger UI.html. This is your path. You can give any custom path, whatever you prefer you can give. And another one is Springdoc documentation path. So this will generate an a JSON file for your documentation. Doc.test API, anything you can, whatever docs, after docs you can give what you can say, that one you can give like telephone directory API, contact directory API, whatever you wanted to wish you can give, but that doc should be maintained because of standard way. But anyway you can give here also anything, but it will just differentiate docs, like docs. So from here people will understand, yeah, here is the documentation. That's why we should maintain this sequence only, docs. After docs you can give any other name or any other path, whatever you will prefer. This package to scan you can include, you know, need, because inside configuration you can specify. And this one to enable or disable the API documentation. So whether the documentation has to be enabled, yeah, mark as a true. Whether the documentation has to be disabled, then just make this as a false. That's it, your documentation will be disabled. Okay. And inside pom.xml you need to include dependency for Springdoc API, Springdoc Open API. You have to add that library, you have to add the dependency. The dependencies are org.springdoc group id, org.springdoc is the group id, artifacts id, and the version that you should take a latest one. So current version for this Springdoc starter web MVC UI is 2.0.2. this is the current version, and the current version for your Spring document Open API UI, that is 1.6.4. so you just have to include this dependency in your pom.xml. That is the second step. First step you need to specify, and another one you need to, so first step you need to specify these properties in your application property. So let's go and specify first. So open your application.properties. so in this property file you can see we have already specified Springdoc Swagger UI path, Swagger UI HTML, Spring API doc path, Spring API doc path, API docs. You can give this one also, API docs, or if you wanted to specify in this way, you can specify in this way. That is your choice. Okay. docs DC, anything, directory contact API, anything, directory contact API, whatever you want to give, you can give. Yeah, it should be enabled, so that's why it is a true. Okay, that's it. And what is the other third option? Sorry, this is the first step. Second step, we need to add these two dependency. We need to add these two dependency. So let's go and add. So here if you see, we have added both the dependencies. Both dependencies we have added here. This one is the second one, open UI, and this is your first one. Both we have added here. You can see same version 2.0.2 1.6.14, 2.0.2 1.6.14. so we have added. Next one is just we need to access, but before to access we need to add the configuration into your open API configuration. So this is where you know this is very well, that is just a configuration file, and bean means just it's a creating a bean, and this bean is named as open API. You have to return an open API. So create a new open API with the title directory contact API. Description, whatever the description, this is a title, this is a description, you can give any description. Version 0.0.1. License, what is your license? So license you can give here Apache license 2.0. This is the license URL. Okay, and this is Spring documentations, wiki documentation, where you can find the wiki documentation, you can find on here. So like that you can give any other external documentation also. This is your external documentation only. This is your internal application documentation. This is external documentation if you want to give any wiki documentation or anything. Okay, and here you have to create grouped open API. This bean you have to create grouped open API. Inside this one, what you have to specify? You have to specify a group ID like API A, and path. This is the path. This is the path to match. Yeah, after slash it is matching. Okay, package to scan. For this API, which package has to be scanned, which controllers has to be scanned. So com.techhub.demo.springboot rest.controller, this one, this is your package. com.techhub.demo.spring rest controller has to be scanned. That's it. You have to do this configuration only. After that one, just you can start your application, and you can access this URL. In the sense that whatever the port you have specified in our application, the port is 4300. So localhost 4300 directory contact. Okay, after this directory contact, what is your swagger UI? UI.html? This one. Just press enter. You will see automatically your swagger automatically your Spring is generating documentation with the help of Swagger by using Springdoc Open API. Here you can see very clearly how many controllers are there. You can see directory contact controller is one controller. Yeah, here is a directory contact controller is there. Inside your service, directory contact controller is there. Yeah, it's there. Definitely it is there. Inside that one, these many methods are there. update contact is there, that type is put, add contact is there, that type is post, get contacts is there, that is type of get. Three get operations are there, by passing IDs, by passing contact IDs, you can see very clearly from here. And validation test controller is another controller that has one post method, three get method with this URL. Another one is versioning API demo controller, REST client controller. So all the controllers, it is identifying the services uniquely, and it is also identifying the schemas. DTO, yeah, it has a one directory DTO. Inside directory DTO, contact ID, name, code, number is there, and contact ID type is integer, contact name type is string, country code type is string, contact name type is contact number type is integer. It's very much identifying. Here also if you see from the validation, it is inferring that validation test DTO has an ID, and that ID should be required, name should be required, email should be required, mobile number should be required, date A, B, local date time. So it's all are required, and here is the type, and along with this type, if you can see on the name there is a pattern. Name should be in this format only. It is identifying here also very clearly, so they can clearly understand what type of value name can have. Minimum value for this one, this can be mobile number. For date also, you can see this is a date time. So like that, response DTO has a message and value. Message is string, value is that can be any value. Okay, so like that it will be generating the documentation, and it is not only generating the documentation. Suppose get documents by passing IDs, or get document, get contact, get contacts. So if you see this one, offset and limit is there. So if you click here, suppose get contacts, so we know this will get the contacts in pagination. So here it is suggesting it has an offset and limit, both are required. So you have to give here offset and limit. So you can try it out. Try it out means just you have to give the value from 0 index to 10 records. We have to get. So just execute this one, and it is returning the response also. See here, so much of operations it is doing here. It's doing very much good operations, and you can from here itself you can execute, and you can get the result. You can see here it's getting all the records, whatever we were getting in Postman, the same records it is getting here only. You can see clearly. Okay, so in this way you can use, or you can try for other one also, like get contact is there. So get contact, you have to get the contact ID. So add that contact ID here and execute. It will give that result. Yes, one record found, same only. You can download this response or copy this response, whatever. Okay, so like that this Springdoc Open API will help you to generate Spring REST API documentation. Okay, so this is the just example that we have added. We have also created another application, so I'm just closing all this and I'm just opening that application. So that application is Spring Sample API. So just refresh this one and run this application, because in this application also we have created two different packages and different controllers. and we have specified here configuration also. Group open API, group open API A, group open API B, because two different packages are there. We want to create for different package, different groups. So this is only the same example, but here we have just configured something extra that I will show you. Just let me run this application and I will show you. Yeah, so this application is started. Access this URL. This one is stopped now. Okay, so here this one is you can see controller A, controller X, controller Y, controller B, you can see here. So from here this, in this application you can without seeing this controllers specific controller implementation, you can tell very clearly from here. There is a controller A, inside that one get API A put, API A post, API A get, API A delete methods are there. API A put is a type of put, API A post is a type of post, and API A get is a type of get, API A delete is a type of delete. Delete has don't have any parameter here, just simply you can execute and it is returning this response. In the same way, get, inside get also there is no parameter, simply you can execute and you can see the result. So it is getting the result. Okay, in the post you can see here, this here is a sample DTO. So if you try it out, you will see this is the sample DTO. You can change this value also and you can try name and you can execute. Okay, what happened? Okay, let's refresh it. Okay, so like that, I think this date of birth because of this one, or okay, you can try this one. So if you can just once more we can try it out. Sample DTO, required sample DTO, we are passing sample DTO, execute. Okay, it is giving. Okay, this response is coming. This is just UI issue only. Okay, so like that you can generate the API, but here you can observe one thing. For this controller A, this name is coming is in very nice way, and along with this one some description is also coming. But why that same description for controller X or controller Y? Why the description is not available? Why the description is available only for controller A, and this controller A, this name is also coming very in readable mode? How? Because if you open controller A, we have added some tags, @tag, and this tag is where this tag operation parameters are available under IO Swagger v3. So it is taking from here only. Tag means it is defining the tag. Name means what should be the name of controller A, or any other name you wanted to give. What should be the description? The sample API controller A. Same description is coming here, the sample API controller A. And here if you see parameters or operations, so first is this one, operations you want to describe. So here if you see inside controller A, you want to describe this post controller, this post operation you want to describe. How can you describe? You can describe using operations. What is the meaning of this operation? Post the sample DTO. simple, post the sample DTO. So this is the description. Yeah, this description is coming here, post the sample DTO, and it will also describe the parameters like sample DTO, a sample DTO for the request payload data. Where is this detail? If you open this one, it will come here, a sample DTO for request payload data. So it will give, you want to more details about the endpoint, about the controller parameter, you want to specify anything, you can use these annotation like tag annotation will specify what should be the controller name, what should be the name for this tag. It automatically suggests. Operations will define what is this operation. You want to tell more about this operation, you can give the summary. You want to tell more about the parameters, you can give these details. So like that you can specify. That's why this detail is coming here, but you can see for other, the details are not coming like that. Okay, so this is the Spring documentation using Swagger. Okay, and if you want to see the Swagger file in JSON format, then how can you get that one? You can see here API docs, so what you have to give here, API docs. So you can see here, after this context path, if you give whatever the path you have specified here, you have to add that, you have to give that here, and it will give this XML format. Here also it is everything, it is specifying what is your services name, what is the description of your service, license of your service, any external link, how many controllers are there, this is your controller description, path of the controller, how many paths are there, like that, blah blah, all the details it will give here. Okay, you can use like that. Fine. So this is all about the Swagger API documentation using Springdoc Open API. Okay, so I hope you like this session. Please subscribe my channel, and we will see you in the next session. In the next session we will start from Spring security. Okay, so I hope you like this session. Please subscribe my channel, and we will see you in the next session. Till that, bye bye, and thanks for watching.